I don't have a theme song yet. This is about photography. Welcome to Unmasked. However, we have an important topic to talk about briefly. Am I a full theorist? Sometimes. When it's right. I will say that I'm 40% committed to the things that I say. I also would like to address that there will be a candle in every episode. I'm 40% in on my theories because I'm usually 100% wrong. So what I'm saying is, are we getting reputation on the AMAs for May 26th? Here's how the math is mathing. I've been a debutation dropper, truther drop forever. So 13 plus 13 is 26. We saw that on the cake for I Bet You Think About Me. Does she know that that's going to be the date of the AMAs? I don't see that happening, but maybe she did. Or maybe she knew it was just going to be a 26th date. Another thing is mayhem with me at midnights, mayhem at midnights, meet me at midnights. We had two upside down phones, both on the 2 and the 6, signifying the 26th. And then Taylor Nation's been kind of weird about dropping the Karma video, which was released May 26th. And then also the NYU speech, which was also May 26th. So are we getting something May 26th? Potentially. So anyway, that's my plug for Taylor Swift. We also got The Handmaid's Tale, Look What You Made Me Do, Taylor's version. There are some significant differences in the background that she chose not to do, which I find very interesting. I don't know how I feel about them just yet. It was to release it like that 6 days before May 26th. So on the 6th season, we could go on. Lots of things. Reclaiming this in the shadows as reputation of like the sound of the resistance. So this episode, I'm titling it Move It because people don't. So fun fact is I only shoot with primes, and I do this one because the glass is so much cleaner, affordably so. I don't have to spend $8,000 on like a good piece of glass that zooms because I just move my body. So typically in a wedding, you'll see me bring a 24, 35, 50, 85, 105, and a 135. Those are my common 5 lenses that I tend to shoot with. And depending on like what's going on, the room sizes, I don't do portraits at 24, 35. I used to, and then I really started to pay attention to this thing called lens compression. I like doing them during like receptions when I want things to look a little wonky, but I can totally tell when people are doing portraiture on 35s. It just makes people look like, if you do them up close, it just things look a little weird. And once you see it, you just can't unsee it. So I typically bring one distance glasses. So what that looks like is I need to move a lot more. So the first thing during ceremonies, if you're a wedding photographer, the back of people's heads can only back of their head so much. Catholic weddings, Judaism weddings, a lot of those weddings, you're not allowed a specific area to pass. So with that is like, can you grab guests? Are there any emotions happening in the stands? Sometimes there are a lot of like ritual aspects that are happening, so there is not a lot of emotion. Sometimes there are people sleeping, which are really funny to photograph. Sometimes there are kids doing things that I like to find and photograph. But more than anything, I'll try to get in the line of where the parents are or where the couple is and photograph what they're doing. Sometimes they like snicker and talk to each other. So you don't have to keep photographing if nothing's happening. That's also something that people feel weird on, is like, you feel like you have to keep doing something so people aren't staring at you, but literally if nothing else is going on but there's a sermon and people are just stagnant, you don't have to keep photographing. Like, you don't have to go through those photographs. Just, you know, check your angles and what you're able to move, and see if there's any emotion going on. If you're free falling and they let you roam around, don't be scared to go behind the altar. Don't be scared to go in front of the space. Like, this is your job. And it took me a long time to claim that ownership in that space. I wear darker colors. I try to be as incognito as I can. Even during outdoor ceremonies, sometimes I'll take off my shoes because I'm just trying to be like the most quiet person I possibly can. And I really don't care what guests think of me. I'm there to perform a job, and it is what it is. So try to rid the stage fright and do it like the best that you possibly can. And the second thing is, during protests or events or speeches, yes, get like people speaking if they're there. No big moments are happening from the back of people's heads again. So protests are interesting. It is legal to photograph people's faces in public spaces. That rhymed. You don't have to stay behind. I know it's super intimidating to go in the front and photograph people's faces. If you feel like super being kind and asking for permission, you totally can do that. But if people are in a public setting, specifically in America, you are allowed to photograph them. You don't want to be invasive, I would say that's a great time to bring a zoom lens and not like a 35 millimeter, but the emotion is here. COVID was a really interesting time because a lot of people were masked, but our eyes tell so many stories too, and our hand gestures show so many stories. But photographing those things from behind still aren't grabbing that story. So changing your perspective, moving it, move your location, check all of your angles while you're there, and just see what a different perspective can lead you to. Street photography, weddings, documentation, all of these things are very similar. And as I get older and document even families and just let toddlers be and just let people play and just grab more of the authentic stuff, that's where my work is growing, even in wedding photography or street photography, documentation, because you're starting to see things in a way that's just not what's happening, but the best way to capture it. So the thing that I hate the most that's happening right now is people photographing things very averagely, and maybe they are getting like a beautiful emotion, and it will mean the world to the people they're photographing for. There's no doubt about that. But claiming that it is one of the best photographs ever taken and seeing like this hype put up, and there should be like an applause for being there at the right time for sure. Photography is 90% luck and 90% waiting for things to happen. Whenever I tell my students that they have to, go back, be there at the right lighting, be there at the right time. The reason why street photographers are so hard to get publicized, or so hard to be in, like, get your name in the history books. The reason why, it's so hard to find an iconic photograph, and sometimes you're only known for one, is because it takes not just the right emotion, but the right lighting and the right movement. And to get all three of those things in one shot is incredibly hard. So not only do you have to be the right time, but you have to have all of these other qualities. So it's interesting to see this pushback on the most perfect photograph because people can't obtain it, instead of working harder just to obtain it. So whenever I'm in a documentary setting, I'm trying to work with the best lighting I can, and I wait for those moments, and sometimes they never happen. And sometimes I'll leave the perfect spot and then the moment happens and I'm like, well, I got the moment, and that's gonna matter a lot to them, but it's not as good as it could have been. And so I think that's where we have this, right now, okay with amateur and okay with whatever is happening. There's so many trends right now. My friend showed me one this morning where everything is slightly tilted. There's a lot of times you're waiting and waiting and waiting and it just doesn't happen. and it's a bummer. And then other times, like, you're waiting and waiting and it happens. Maybe you miss your focus, or maybe you do get like the perfect shot and then it doesn't happen for like another 2 years, where it's like beautifully backlit and like just like everything happened at work at one time. And that's why some of these big photographers, street photographers with big books, like Robert Frank, The Americans is one of my favorite books to look at. And this man took over 5,000 images to get like 200 published. And those were film, and that's even harder. I look at my film work. That is almost like what you get is what you get, and you have to choose from that. So when, you know, my students are making black and white film work, they have 36 images. They have to pick 2 of their best ones to present to me. Sometimes that is a tall feat because you don't know what you're getting. It's not like an endless roll in your digital camera. So definitely like anticipating emotion and not reacting on it is the number one advice I can give you. Do a different perspective, not from one that you're used to seeing on like you're standing all the time. Anticipate the laughter, anticipate the tears. If you know something is coming, or like a speech, like target someone that you know is important to whoever you're photographing for. Or like if you're at a protest, watch someone who like you can feel is like so in it, and watch for them to like break or joy or scream, and gather that first like emotion instead of like the reactionary one. So don't put your camera down in that moment, like have it on standby. I think that's going to be the biggest thing for like any kind of person to want to grow in this field, is anticipating emotion and not reacting to emotion. Moving your body and getting closer, and not just getting like this far away shot where you can zoom in. If you do choose to use versatile lenses and have zoom in lenses, that is such an advantage to you. Sometimes it's a disadvantage, but so is getting closer to someone, because like then you're only cropped into one person. At receptions and events, I tend to photograph a little bit higher f-stop, so I'll have more of like a 5, 6, 8. If I'm outside and I can do 11, I will. Sometimes it's just not feasible, and I'm not someone who likes to shoot higher than like a 600 ISO. So I like shooting higher f-stops in that retrospect, because I love being able to get like a vicinity of emotion and clarity throughout, rather than like the short depth of field. Now, if you have to pick and choose your f-stops because it's a really dark area, or you're going for a specific aesthetic, then definitely, you know, pick your characters wisely. But that's definitely going to be the number one thing. No matter what, in any field we're in, we're always like, none of these things are invalid, you know, to hype up an emotion caught or like a movement caught. But I think it's discouraging to see people not wanting to push themselves to be better. We also do, though, live in a society where we're so scared to talk about our flaws and what we want to get better. So we put stuff on the internet like, this is what I did, it's so great, like, comment, like, subscribe, right? Whereas I'm usually like, this was fine. I want to do this next time. So every year I have a goal on what I want to do better. And mine, as I'm getting older, has become more authenticity, really grabbing the moment, doing less staged feel, mostly in family sessions. I've started to really hate the idea of staged stuff as I do more family, because it's just not real. And I love the idea of someone looking back at their photographs and looking back at their 4-year-old time and being like, you would not let go of that Barney doll. And like how beautiful that is to like timestamp that moment. But that's all that I have. You can talk about your comments. I'm sure this will make someone mad. Why wouldn't it? But if it does, what I want to say is like, pause it, reflect it, think about what I'm saying. Not that I'm not criticizing this idea that those images are invalid. I'm saying that it's always best to think about how to be better, how to get better lighting, how to get better in motion, how to anticipate a better something, to be a better artist and to deliver better images for yourself and for your clients. And just like moving your body to see something different rather than delivering the same images over and over and over. finding unique things among every wedding is like what my goal is. I never want any of my weddings to look the same, because every wedding is different, because every couple is different, every story is different. So that's like what's fun about doing wedding photography. It's like nothing is the same, but everything's the same, but nothing is the same. So it's fun to tell about there's differences. If you have things to say about Taylor Swift, I want to hear them, because we have less than 4 days. If it happens. If it doesn't, I don't know. That's all that I have for you today.